I want to come back to this point of hyperbolic
Hmm.
language, because my sense is that for some people, and for people maybe who have more of a cynical perspective, they might look at that and say, "Oh, well, there you go. You're just kind of writing it off." But your point is more nuanced than that. You use the example of Jesus in the New Testament, gouge out your eye, cut
Hmm.
off your hand. But I just want to once again say that this isn't claiming a hyperbolic language for something in terms of trying to stamp a Western 21st century perspective
Hmm.
on it. What you're arguing is that the first writers and the first readers intentionally knew what they were doing. And for someone who read contemporaneous to the writing, they would have understood this. They would have known that this was hyperbolic.
Yeah, there's a great example of this in the famous Merneptah stele. This is a carving of Pharaoh Merneptah bragging about his conquest of the region of Canaan. This would have been after Israel's in that area, and in it he said, "Seed was laid. Israel was laid waste. Its seed is no more." In other words, I wiped them off the map. Well, we know he didn't. They survived. But this was a common way of speaking in
Hmm.
warfare texts where you were accentuating the victory that you achieved. There's a study of this kind of rhetoric in Lawson Younger's book, Ancient Warfare Rhetoric or Ancient Conquest Accounts. And he talks about numerous examples from the ancient world where this type of hyperbolic language was used. And there's even a whole book on another whole book on that really features the hyperbolic language, and that's by a guy named William Webb and another guy Oesta. In that book, it's called Bloody, Brutal, and Barbaric, and they talk at length about all the different ways that hyperbole is used in ancient conquest accounts that are quite extensive. So this was a known way of communicating, just like we recognize, as you said, with the Jesus texts, that when he says, gouge out your eye if it causes you to sin, or cut off your hand or foot if they cause you to stumble, that we don't literally do that, but that doesn't mean we don't take those texts seriously. And so that's another
Hmm.
point with this, is to say something's hyperbole doesn't mean we somehow cheapen it or lessen it. But in Jesus' statement that no one can be my disciple unless he hates his father, mother, brother, sister, that's about
Hmm.
the uncompromising commitment to following Jesus, not about a literal need to go hate your family. In fact, he
Hmm.
models otherwise, but it's rhetorically it's to be taken seriously.
Yes, absolutely.